Good morning and welcome to Howard University's Real State of the University address. Before we begin this address, our faces are not shown to protect against retaliation from Howard's administration. Here at the Armored J. Blackburn Center, peaceful student protesters have gathered with 4 demands relating to Howard University's administration's lack of transparency and extensive abuse of the student body. For the past 154 years, Howard University has been at the forefront of advocating for the African American community and African diaspora. The theme for homecoming this year is Remember the Times. So let us remember the times that Howard University students have shaped this institution through peaceful demonstrations, forever impacting Howard's legacy. From March 19th to the 23rd of 1968, students initiated a sit-in at the Mordecai Wyatt Johnson Administration Building to demand a more Afrocentric curriculum, a judiciary system for student discipline, and University President Nabrit's resignation. After occupying the building for 5 days, student demands were met, creating the Black-centered curriculum Howard is most renowned for today. Protests at Howard have continued for generations, including occupations of the administration building in 1989, 1997, 2015, 2018, and our current occupation of the Blackburn Center in 2021. It is within this revolutionary spirit that the nature of this protest was born. Last Tuesday, on the evening of October 12, 2021, a group of Howard University students from the Howard University Student Association, the Young Democratic Socialists of America, and the Live movement began to peacefully occupy space in the Blackburn Center after administration did not attend a town hall in which they were invited. Student frustration included various grievances, including but not limited to substandard housing conditions, rampant mold growth that has caused adverse health effects to members of the student body, housing insecurity, and representation on the Board of Trustees. In the 11 days since the occupation began, the number of student participants, mutual aid organizations, and supporters involved have been growing in number. Student protesters occupying both inside and outside the building have become known as the Blackburn Takeover Family. Our demands target both accountability and solutions from administration toward concerns about housing and affiliate representation on the Board of Trustees, and we will not stop the occupation of the space until these demands are met. They read as follows. Number 1, an in-person town hall with President Frederick and administration scheduled before the end of October. Number 2, permanent reinstatement of all affiliate trustee positions, student, faculty, and alumni on the Board of Trustees with voting power. Number 3, the president and chairman of the board propose a meeting with student leadership outlining their housing plan to protect the current and incoming classes of Howard University. Number 4, legal, disciplinary, and academic immunity for all participants in the protests, both occupying the inside and outside of the Blackburn Center. With these demands met, we can hope to allow means for students to voice their grievances to administration, reestablish an important method of representation for students, faculty, and alumni on the Board of Trustees, and solve issues pertaining to both the lack of housing and substandard living conditions. Despite the widespread endorsement of these demands by other students, faculty, alumni, student organizations, local organizations, community organizations, and political and public figures, administration has yet to move forward with the negotiations of our demands.
By not adhering to our first demand for an in-person town hall, administration is refusing to build an open and cooperative community with the student body. According to a reliable source, the board feels that a mass town hall will not be constructive. However, in order for a town hall to be constructive, you must be in attendance. The students of this university have no way of being heard if there is no one there to listen to them. Administration's refusal to an in-person town hall is actively choosing to ignore student voices and refusing to work towards a mutually beneficial solution. Not reinstating affiliate positions is another example of the administration's motives not aligned with the best interest of students. Student, faculty, and alumni affiliate positions on the board are crucial to decisions regarding the future of our university's well-being. According to a reliable source, President Wayne A.I. Frederick, MD, claims the trustees are not comfortable with students or faculty on the board because of concerns with them leaking information discussed during their meetings. However, we deserve voices on the board, and it is our right to know what is discussed in meetings when crucial decisions are being made. Administration has refused to combat real housing concerns. They have reported Howard University has a 94% occupancy rate, there are no mold in the dorms, and there is no housing crisis. Despite these claims, there are students who face housing insecurity and inhumane living conditions. In his 2020 university address, President Frederick said he believes that some students may have matriculated to Howard during the pandemic because they did not have the cost of housing in their bills. Based on this, we believe he is aware there is a housing crisis. Also in recent years, Howard University sold 3 residence halls, Meridian Hall, Slow Hall, and Carver Hall. According to a reliable source, Meridian was sold after a fire caused significant damage, and Howard had no funds to restore it. Slow and Carver were also in disrepair and leased. The source also stated Frederick claimed the university had to contract out our dorms to a third party, Corvius, to stay afloat during the pandemic. Corvius currently has a class action lawsuit against them for toxic mold and pests on their managed property. Howard has continued to not put forth a plan to use resources gained during the pandemic and currently own land for student housing. It should be the university's responsibility to ensure every student who needs housing is provided with it and it is habitable. Student protesters deserve academic, legal, and disciplinary immunity. According to a reliable source, President Frederick claimed that in the past, demands for immunity have been worked out between lawyers for student protesters and the school, as students should obtain an attorney to work out a deal with the university. We believe this is an indication President Frederick and administration are still subjecting us to expulsion and other disciplinary actions. As President Frederick stated in the 2020 State of the University address, we should be strong advocates, and that is exactly what we are doing here at Blackburn. We should not face retaliation because we are expressing our First Amendment rights and advocating for ourselves.
Since October 13th, 2021, Dr. Cynthia Evers, Interim Vice President of Student Affairs, has sent out emails through Howard University Communications addressing the protest. At first, Dr. Evers sent out a lengthy email that contained multiple false claims and misleading information about the sit-in. She claimed students interrupted the, quote, constructive dialogue, end quote, at a town hall administration was invited to by forcibly entering and engaging in disruptive behavior. In reality, administration was not in attendance at the town hall. Dr. Evers and campus police attempted to escalate the situation by falsely pulling the fire alarm, an illegal action, and recording student protesters without their consent. She also claimed that students violated the Student Code of Conduct. According to the Student Code of Conduct in Section 3, quote, all students are guaranteed freedom of expression, inquiry, and assembly, the right to form a student government, the right to organize groups, the right to join associations in support of any cause or common interest, and the right to peacefully protest, provided that such activity is conducted in a reasonable manner, does not abridge the rights of others, and is carried out in accordance with local and/or federal law, as well as university rules and regulations. Not only was this right violated multiple times, as Dr. Evers, along with other Howard University officials, threatened our peaceful protest, but on the morning of October 13th, 2021, Dr. Evers directly said to student protesters, we were in violation of the Student Code of Conduct, and if we did not leave the Blackburn Center by noon, we would be expelled. Section 3 of the Student Code of Conduct also states, quote, students accused of violating this code have the following rights: to be free from intimidation and retaliation by university employees in the resolution of disciplinary matters, end quote. We believe Dr. Evers directly violated our rights under the code with her repeated attempts at both intimidation and retaliation. Another communication was sent out by Dr. Evers on October 19th, 2021, containing statements bragging about housing conditions and availability. She claimed that Howard has a 94% occupancy rate and hundreds of available beds to house students. Dr. Evers also stated that administration can only address what is reported to them when it comes to mold growth, and that, quote, there have only been a small number of documented facility reports, end quote. She also claimed that the university and its third-party campus housing providers, Corvius, were going door to door to interview residents about living conditions and inspecting residence halls. Multiple students have reported that inspections are not very lengthy and detailed, and if mold is discovered, not much is done afterwards. Since the protests began, maintenance teams have revisited previously checked dorms to re-inspect for mold and water damage. We believe this was an attempt to cover up any remaining traces of organic growth in the buildings before alumni, political figures, and inspectors were invited into the building to inspect the living conditions. Instead of addressing the fact that there are students who are unhoused or in unsafe living conditions, she tried to minimize the problem and present the amount of students affected by these issues as justifiable. No student is disposable. There are no justifiable amounts of cases of mold, water damage, or housing insecurity. The disregard for student living conditions is why we currently occupy Blackburn in protest today.
From the Blackburn Takeover Family, from students who want their voices heard, from the alumni who had to suffer through these inhumane conditions, from student protesters who occupied the administration building in 1968, 1989, 1997, 2015, and 2018, from prospective students who love their HBCU, from students at other HBCUs. Enough is enough. As students of the Mecca, a center for Black culture, excellence, and development, we shouldn't have to demand our voices be heard or we have access to humane living conditions. To Howard University alumni, we appreciate your support and want you to continue to support us during our protests. We implore you to reach out to administration and demand they work to meet our demands. Hold your donations until your voices are heard on the Board of Trustees. Remind the board that as alumni, your actions and contributions to Howard gives it its illustrious name. Vice President Kamala Harris, where are you? Stand in solidarity with us and urge administration to meet our demands. You know our grievances and experiences are real. To the Bison community, we appreciate your support as we continue to fight for better housing and representation for you. Even if you want your punch out, we love you and will continue to fight for you because we are Bison. Show up to Blackburn homecoming in record numbers. We're all Black in solidarity with us here at Blackburn during homecoming and join our protest. Never forget, we are what makes Howard University illustrious, not administration. To faculty and staff, we appreciate your support and stand in solidarity with issues with administration you also have. Professors, continue to advocate for academic immunity for student protesters and that our demands be met. Continue to host your classes at Blackburn. We're all Black in solidarity. Tell administration that if they continue to undervalue your voice on the Board of Trustees, you will seek other institutions that appreciate your talent because you also make Howard University illustrious. To prospective students of Howard University, watch closely. Tell Howard you will wait until our demands are met before committing to the university. Howard's response to our demands will tell you whether this is an institution that will cherish your voice or not. To donors and investors of Howard University, we urge you to make sure your money is being spent on what it should. Let us remember the times the Financial Aid Office embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars from students. Let's remember the time that for 12 years, administration did not tell an alumni donor what they did with his money. Mackenzie Scott, where did your $40 million go? Are you holding administration accountable? Are you following your money's trail? Future donors and investors, we urge you to require transparency of our administration. To Freedom Fighters DC and other mutual aid organizations, Harriet's Wildest Dreams and other Black abolitionist defense hubs, we appreciate your support and it is imperative to our cause that you continue to stand with us. To the greater community in DC, the nation, and the world, we appreciate your support and invite your donations to student protesters at Blackburn. We urge you to speak out against the administration for continuously failing their students and not meeting our demands. To President Wayne Frederick, Vice President of Student Affairs Cynthia Evers, members of the Board of Trustees, and other administration officials, the Blackburn Takeover Family will continue to occupy Blackburn until our demands are met. We will not be silenced. We will not be scared of your intimidation tactics and repeated threats of expulsion. We will not be shaken in our resolve. You continue to use your power to belittle and threaten us. You have lost respect of the community, both at Howard and the world, and continue to embarrass yourselves with every repeated tactic to silence us. If you were truly concerned with returning the Blackburn Center to a fully operating schedule, you would be actively working with us to meet our demands. If you want to build a, quote, network of partnerships between students and staff in which we support one another, end quote, meet with the Blackburn negotiations team to work on not only getting our demands met, but follow through with those demands and a greater future for Howard University. Before we close this address, we want to share with you the ancient African philosophy of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is an expression of humanity that means, I am because we are, I am because you are. The philosophy of Ubuntu expresses our sense of community and how we believe the Howard University community should operate. If one bison falls, we all fall. Thank you from the Blackburn Takeover Family.
We coming! Get ready!